Le'Veon Bell's days in Pittsburgh are over. The Steelers GM said yesterday that the team will not use the franchise tag on Bell, which will allow him to become an unrestricted free agent. Bell sat out all of last season over a contract dispute, but in 2017, he had nearly 2,000 yards from scrimmage. The Jets, Bucks, Eagles, and Raiders are among the many teams that have been named as possible destinations. So, Rob, would you give him a big contract?
I, Skip Bayless, excuse me, would drive the Brinks truck to his house. He is the best back, all-around back in the NFL. I don't know why people are questioning whether or not you want to pay this guy, because the last time we saw him play, and it wasn't last year, but 2017, led the league in rushes and touches, had over 400. This guy is everything.
Lead in rushing.
Right.
No. Did he lead in rushing? Oh, maybe he did.
Touches.
Okay.
Touches and rushes.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, not rushing.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, and he averaged 129 yards, scrimmage yards, which was tops. All I'm saying is he's got everything you want. He can block. He can catch out of the backfield. He can run the football. And the thing I love the most, I think this is the problem people got to get over. Get off the money thing. Don't worry about how much money he makes. This is a part of the game, his value, and he fought for it. And if you're another football player, you should applaud him, Skip. He went up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who didn't want to pay him, right? Despite his stats and everything he did for the organization, he didn't want to pay him.
What did that tell you?
No, he didn't want to be another running back where they use you up, and then when the time comes for you to get paid, they say you're used up and we're not going to pay you. So he refused to do that because they had given him 2 franchise tags. Pay me if I'm not good enough, or let me go. One of the two of you don't want to pay me. So he refused to sign that second franchise tag, and he held out. All the people are like, oh, what a mistake. He's crazy. He gave up $14 million that he'll never get back. You know what he saved? He saved a year on his body of wear and tear for an organization that's not willing to pay you for services rendered. So, and here we talked about the yards from scrimmage per game. A minimum of 50 games played. Here's where Le'Veon fits in. I'll give you the top 4. Number 4, Barry Sanders. Number 3, Billy Sims.
Okay.
Number 2, Jim Brown. And guess who number 1 is with a minimum of 50 games? Le'Veon Bell. This is the kind of player he is. He's not an also-ran or some running back that anybody can just throw into the mix. And this is the way that they're acting, as if he's not a game changer. Tell me, Skip Bayless, if he played the entire year last season, do the Steelers make the playoffs? I don't care what James Conner did. With Le'Veon Bell, they would have made the playoffs, and they wouldn't have missed the playoffs.
I think James Conner was really good. He wasn't quite Le'Veon, but he was close.
He's not. And so when I look at this, I think people need to back off and don't worry about what he had to do. And I'm talking about sitting out. This is his only recourse in the NFL. We know that the players have a terrible CBA, and it's weighted heavily towards the owners. So your only course of action, Skip, in order to get paid sometimes, is to make the ultimate sacrifice. And that's what he did. But for people to say that you shouldn't think about adding him to your team and paying this guy because he sat out. If I'm the Jets or the Colts have $107 million, right, to spend. The Jets have $96 million to spend. Are you kidding me? Those two teams, he should be playing for one of those two teams. And imagine if he goes to New York and Sam Darnold, what that would be for him. So I'm all in for Le'Veon Bell, one of the best all-around backs in the NFL, if not the best, and I'm going to pay him, even if I have to come out of my pocket for the last $3.
So Rob Parker's big heart is bleeding for his man Le'Veon Bell, correct? Give him what he wants. Give him $48 million guaranteed for 3 more years. $16 million guaranteed dollars a year, says Rob Parker. Is that about right?
Yes, that's whatever he wants.
Reportedly wants. I'm going to remind you, all those stats that you read, those were what he did, past tense. This league cannot especially the game of football, cannot pay you for what you did. It has to pay you betting on the come. What will you do for me in the near future? And with this guy, I'm not sure about that. And the Pittsburgh Steelers definitely weren't sure, which is why they went tag, let him sit. And then what happened?
They didn't make the playoffs.
Okay, well, again, that was a troubled football team, and we haven't even talked about Antonio Brown and how much he detonated that locker room and his feud going game to game with Ben, and he wouldn't play the last game, or at least he wouldn't practice up to the last game. So all that was going on. I think Mike Tomlin, I'm a big fan still, but I think he lost his locker room. So all that factored into why they missed the playoffs, because James Conner was really good. And just if you do the yards.
He's not.
Okay, yards, he's not quite, but yards from scrimmage, he had 113 a game last year. Then he got hurt and he missed 3 late games. But 113, at least it's in the ballpark with Le'Veon's, what'd you say, 129, the year before, okay? So not quite, but again, I've never been the biggest Le'Veon fan because he is, to me, a bit of a tiptoer. He likes to tiptoe and kind of wait and look. Give me Ezekiel Elliott, because Ezekiel Elliott.
We were going here.
Okay,
here
well, again, Ezekiel Elliott tries to run through the brick wall every time he touches the football, running it or catching it.
You mean Ezekiel Elliott against the Rams in the playoff game? Is that the one you want?
I want the Zeke who has led the league in rushing the 2 full years that he's played. So I don't know, how did he do that? And he just keeps catching it more and more each year, and he's right there with Le'Veon as a receiver. Don't tell me he's not, because he can really catch it.
He's getting there, but he's not. He's not
right.
Bell.
So I read today in the New York Daily News, I think you know Manish Mehta, who covers the Jets.
Absolutely.
And a very interesting piece and made some strong points, because he is inside with that football team. And he said there are those inside the building who have reservations about Le'Veon's motivation after he lands a big payday. Are you sure about that, Rob Parker?
I'm sure about that.
Did he want to get paid for what he did, and then he's going to sort of semi-retire on you? Boy, I don't know.
No, but the problem, Skip, is they use you until you wind up getting hurt. And so he was going to avoid, after 400 touches in 2017, to say, no, you're not going to do this again. And then here I am beaten up, battered, and then I don't get paid.
Yep.
Back to Manish. He says that there are those inside the building on, what's it called, One Jets Drive, who fear that Le'Veon's only 27, but they fear how much tread he has left on his tires.
He's 26 football years.
All right, but he has 1,635 touches. That's a whole lot of touches and a whole lot of getting hit and tackled, right? So you have to fear that going forward with somebody who plays this position. Now, the final straw here is that, according to Manish, word on the street is that Le'Veon Bell, whose playing weight is about 225 pounds, ballooned to around 260 pounds during his 1-year hiatus. Well, is that an exaggeration? I don't know, but that was the word on the street, and then he comes right back and says that surely he has lost most of that extra baggage by now, but how do you know? I don't know, but would that scare you, Rob?
No, it wouldn't scare me because of what he was able to do. And yes, when you don't play and you're not in the regiment that they're used to, Skip, you're going to put on some weight. It happens to a lot of people. So that I'm not going to look at him and go, oh, he doesn't care about football. I believe he cares about football. I believe he wants to win. And I think, who am I going to look at, especially, what do you say, One Jets way? That franchise has been off the runway a lot since they won the Super Bowl last in 1969.
All right, so if you want to sign him and give him that much money for marquee value, just to say, we got Le'Veon, look at our new number
Sam
26.
Darnold doesn't benefit if you got a guy coming out of the backfield who's a threat and who can throw the ball to as an outlet.
All right, if he's that guy. What did we see C.J. Anderson do at the end of last football season? He came right off his couch. He got cut by the Broncos and then cut by the Panthers and then had a cup of coffee with John Gruden, who decided to go a different direction. C.J. explained it all. He's still a Gruden fan. But he winds up mid-December with what? The L.A. Rams? And what happens, Rob Parker? 137 yards happened against at Arizona, and then what was it, 116?
And that was against the poorest Dallas defense.
No, the last two regular season games, and then he just ran wild on my defense, which was not porous because it had just stifled.
They gave up 290 yards, Skip, to
273.
Okay, I said almost 290.
Okay, well, I still can't explain it because that defense had just shut down the #1 rushing attack in Seattle the week before in a playoff game.
Maybe it was the bright lights in the stage.
Maybe it was C.J. Anderson. Maybe, again, I'm not saying running backs are a dime a dozen because Ezekiel is not a dime a dozen.
Oh, he isn't, but Le'Veon is.
Okay, he's a little long in the tooth. And again,
26 years old, football years.
I've never loved Le'Veon's commitment to football because he's got this alter ego that he calls Juice, and he's a rapper, and he's made albums. He did a song about me. It wasn't the nicest song, but I don't care about that.
See, that's what you're holding on to.
I'm not. I don't care. I was flattered. I was honored that he would write a whole song about me.
Waste time, and to put you in the song tells me he has dedication. He's creative, right?
He is.
And he needed an outlet to get it out. That's better than...
He called me Shrimp Bayless. That was I think that's the name of the song, as I recall.
Barbecue shrimp or grilled shrimp?
No, I don't know. You'd have to ask Le'Veon, your friend, you know?
Yeah, it's not very nice.
It was great. And I don't hold that against him. I've said this routinely on this show for 2.5. In fact, that inspired him to write this song. I'm not the biggest fan. I don't know that he's a winning football player, but he's very good. He's very gifted, and I give you all that you just said. I just don't think he's worth that much of your money because there still is a hard salary cap in pro football.
I get it, but if you look at the two teams that I mentioned, they have room, and you can't tell me what the Colts did a year ago to add him as another weapon with what they have around Andrew Luck, Skip, and what they did, or the Jets in a situation that would elevate the New York Jetropolitans, right? To have a player of that caliber.
It would.
It would.
Yeah. I don't know if it would help on the scoreboard, but it would help in the stands.
What if it did?
It'd help on the back page headline.
And AB, if they added those two pieces.
They would vault past the Giants onto the back page, the top of the back pages.
Yeah, that would change everything. And 26 football years old, that is a good point.
It is. He's not with the 1 year off, he's not that old.
You gave Rob a good point.
Yeah, you know, once in a while, Skip.
Way to go, Rob.
I got you next. We'll see. We're going to go back to the NBA next.